The
My
accuracy.
sister, yeah, but my stuff is on the right side, so you're only seeing the pussy. So,
Oh,
mm-hmm,
show the pussy.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see the little insignia that says live, and I see us on the internet.
Yay! All
So
right.
we are alive.
Excelente, excelente. All right, cool. So anybody who's watching, see whoever's watching, don't know who's watching or where they're watching from. Hey guys, if you are watching the feed, then go ahead and give us a thumbs up or like the video feel of the video um, file. What is it? File
Whatever
feed.
this is.
The feed, yes. Hey, Michelle. Hello, guys. All right. So, if some of you want to, so this is our podcast hour, which means that we are going to talk about everything and anything that's pretty random. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you guys want to ask questions about random stuff, I'm not doing readings, guys. So, if you're like trying to have me do a reading for y'all, this isn't the place for it. That's usually on the Wednesdays and on the Fridays. So that'll be coming up on Wednesday on Instagram. But you hang out with us. We're going to be on here for about an hour or so, just talking about random stuff, especially the holidays because we just went through Thanksgiving. And
Mhm.
so we're going to talk about that, right? And then if you guys want to come on and ask a question or just shoot the shit with us, thank you, Adriana. She said that she likes my haircut, so
Oh,
um,
it's too cute.
I know. So if y'all want to come on, y'all can just text your first name and the question or the topic that y'all have that y'all want to talk about. Not a personal reading, y'all. So asking me what's wrong with the rash that you have. That's not gonna happen. So
Oh,
so ask me on a Wednesday or on a Friday. I'll be happy to tell you where the rash is coming from. But if you want to
you're
talk
so
about,
petty. We don't want to know.
if you want to ask about something random or you want to talk about some topic, just text that number on the screen there, 505-539-0222. And that was not an orb. That's Michelle's incense. She has incense burning right there in front of her. So if y'all see something on the
Yeah,
camera, it ain't a ghost.
please.
It
It's
ain't
not a ghost.
the ghost of the ghost of Gashiva. It is just incense. uh,
No, it is not Shiva's ghost. It is
yeah,
just incense.
yeah.
Oh, so how was your virtual Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was pretty good. I don't have any complaint. Obviously it's not the same as like being there like in person, so
Yeah.
it's not as bad as that. But it was nice. What I did was we had a little bit of a incident because Ed's mom, like it's his mom and his sister, his niece, and then there's Nat, who's it's kind of weird, but my sister's ex girlfriend or ex
Mm-hmm.
partner for many years. We found out that Ed's family and her family are related. So then after
Oh,
that, Ed's sister and my sister's ex became besties, and they like literally live
wow.
upstairs, downstairs from each other. So they like are like the best of friends. They're like friends pretty much. And
Wow.
and Nat, we love Nat. Like, always has stayed a part of our family. So we Nat's usually at all the events at Ed's house, which is funny, even though my sister isn't at the events because my sister and Ed had a falling out. So
Did
it's
they
just the
really?
weirdest. Yeah, it's just the weirdest thing. So, but there was the agreement or the understanding is that like we were gonna get on like do the video thing with his mom. So I was gonna because it takes hours to cook in that kitchen with all the food that you're
Yeah.
making. So I was gonna get on and I was gonna set up the video and we were all just gonna be hanging out and talking like normal because we normally they're talking for hours before we eat. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so because of course this year we didn't go down there, I put the video. That's what we were doing. But when I like called in, of course, the understanding was that everybody was social distancing. And then when we called his mom, of course, his sister's there and Nat's there, and they just had COVID, and so we're like, why are y'all
Oh,
there?
okay.
So yeah, so we were like, okay, yeah, y'all just had it. Y'all should go to your mom's house, but they're testing negative now, so they don't technically have it. But it's one of those risk things, like you really want to put take the risk,
Right.
etc. So, but and well, that's what it was. So, but
Yeah.
aside from that, the food was fine. I'm eating
It
for
looks good.
days. Because I made it.
It looks really
I made
good.
it.
Yeah. Well, I know you are the perfect chef too.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you
Mm-hmm.
do is perfection,
It is not.
and
It is not. It is so. I normally don't follow recipes. Like I just normally just like, oh,
that's the
I'm
best
one
way
of
to
those.
cook.
Well, I'm one of those cooks where like I get in there and I'm just like mix crops, throw stuff in there, and
Yeah.
that's it. But yeah, yeah. But
I think that's a Taurus thing too. Like we
mm,
really like to fall in love with our food.
yeah.
And like I don't think I'm like the best cook, but when I make something and I'm really like putting myself into it, it be tasting really good.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. Like it might not
Mm-hmm.
look the best,
Mm-hmm.
but it tastes
You know
good.
who you are? You know, have you ever seen that show? It's like Great British Bake Off. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Oh my god, you have to see the show. It is like the best baking show. Like the shows here in the US, like they're all designed to have all of this drama and all of this like
Yeah.
seriousness. Over there, they're just in a tent, they're all baking, they're cracking jokes, they're turning every joke they can think of into a sex-based joke, but they're
Oh
basically like
god.
baking and there's people from all over. There's no like you're going to win $100,000. You just win and you win a little glass like you're the best baker. So it's like the best, right? It's like you're here to show us that you can bake. You're not here for $100,000, you know. So bake
Yeah.
or get the hell out of here, right? So that's the mindset. But I love it
Yeah.
because it's like real people baking real food. And there's this in this season there was this one girl named Laura who none of us agree she should have made it to the end. We don't know how she made it to because she was a complete mess and a disaster, but messy baker. Like everything is like covered in like gelatin and like everything is like just a mess. And then the judges are like on four separate episodes are like, I don't really want to eat that. Like it doesn't look. It looks almost like it's disgusting looking. But then they eat it. They're like, "Oh my god, this is so delicious." So it's like the worst thing that looks. It looks like the worst thing, but it tastes the best. That's probably the kind of baker you would be. It's like we know she's a
Okay.
mess, but it's good.
Yeah. I mean, I have to like well not I have to, but I had to stop
Mm,
caring about all of that because I'm not that person. I'm
mm-hmm.
not that put together. I am free with it. I have too many
Mm-hmm.
signs in Gemini to be that structured. You know, like I'm like an orb going like
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
and just communicating like that. That's it. So when I try to do something, I'm like, let's just get funky with it because that's the
Mm-hmm.
easiest way for me to do it and to really feel authentic and good with it. Because otherwise, I'm like, oh no, it's not polished. And how are people going to
Mm-hmm.
look at it? And I can't care about that, or else I won't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, like me and Kayla are going to probably be baking and cooking on our little show that we're trying to do on
That's
YouTube.
cute. Oh,
And
I
like,
would like.
I'm not good. I mean, I'm not good
But
at it, but
you know
she just
what?
wants
You don't have to be good. Like, I mean, sometimes it's just fun watching people try to do stuff or trying
to.
like for them to figure something out. Like that would be cute to do. Like tea time with Michaela. Hey, Michaela. So
Mhm.
what's the tea? Ooh, girl, I got the tea for you. You know, it's.
Okay, and she is messy too, so
Mm-hmm.
she is always in my business. Like if I just thought something, she shows up and she's like, I'm like, Excuse me, am I allowed my privacy and my thoughts?" And she's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, you
That's
just said
funny.
it."
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
funny.
"That is too much. It's too
Oh.
much for me." Michelle asked how my Thanksgiving was. It was pretty good. I went to my mom's house and my kids played together for like the first time and
Mm.
well, a while because they love to argue.
Mm-hmm.
But they spent some time in the backyard, playing sports. And so Terrence and I talked about doing sports challenges.
Mm.
So he thinks he can beat me at soccer. So he's about to get embarrassed on YouTube as
Mm.
well. Because
Mm.
no, like I was really going to be a soccer player
Really?
before I hurt my
I didn't
leg.
know.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could play soccer.
Yes, I was like a really, really good soccer player before I got hurt. I tore my ACL in ninth grade.
Mm.
And that was devastating, and my dad came running off the bleachers onto the field at the school my son goes to, so every time I'm, like,
Mm-hmm.
triggered every morning for basketball practice, I'm like, "Ugh, my life was ended here."
Mm.
But, my dad came running, and he was, like, crying on the field. I was, like, so embarrassed. I
Oh.
was so embarrassed.
Oh. But that's sweet.
But
That's
I know,
cute. Yeah.
I know.
Oh.
I mean, he died pretty soon after that, maybe, like, a year, so
Yeah.
I always feel like, he just was so sensitive, so sensitive. So he just felt it, you know.
Mm.
I really thought I was going to the FIFA World Cup. I really did. But,
Mm.
I'm doing something else now, and that's fine.
I've never been like I've never um, been into any kind of sports really. Like I mean, when I was a kid, of course, you're in school, they like try to force you to do this, to do that, and I was just never a
Mm,
fan of sports at all. Just because, I guess, the only sports that I was exposed to was either football or basketball, and for me, it just wasn't like it felt too complicated, too many rules, too many things to have to think about.
mm,
So for me, it was like, yeah, I don't really care for sports. The one thing that I got into, which was odd, and maybe because I went to go see Disney on Ice, because I went to go see, yeah, Disney on Ice back in the day when
love it.
yeah, whole new
Oh my
world,
gosh.
yeah.
Yes. My ice capade's a
Oh,
favorite pastime of me and
mm,
my mother, going to those little
yeah,
shows.
yeah. I always went to see Disney on Ice every year, and I think one year we went, and there was like like a hockey game beforehand or something, so they weren't ready yet.
Mm,
Or, but I like got into that. I was like, I kind of like this, and then I think I went to see a hockey game in person, and I liked it. I was like, because it's so simple. Like get the
yeah.
puck in that spot, and beat the hell out of anybody who gets in your way. It's pretty much the way it was. So I was like, okay, cool.
Right.
And so after like I did like it. I like going. I think I get more into sports when I go there. Seeing it on TV
Yeah.
feels so mind numbing to me that I'm just like I don't. I'm not following what second pass what like I don't. It's too much thinking processing power for me. I just don't get into it.
I do not like watching sports on TV, but of course, Terrence with his I feel like that's how he uses his intuition. He's like, oh, such
Mm.
and such is going to do this. And I'm like, you are going to be a really great sportscaster
Mm-hmm.
or like a sports analyst because, I mean, he wants to go to the NBA, but it's like, you're going to have a job anyway. And
Mm.
like, he's so good at it. He's always like, I knew
Mm.
that was going to happen. And I'm like, I
Mm.
just love that he can do that, and I want to be
Mm-hmm.
able to nurture that in him and tell him to acknowledge whenever he's right about something, so that he can kind of get used to being like, connected
Mm-hmm.
that way.
Mm-hmm. Karen's on. She's on Facebook. She says, in Canada, our kids are on skates when they turn two. So
Yeah, I've
that's
had a
like
lot of eyes
really,
on.
yeah, that's like really early to be on skates. Like, you know what? I've never been ice skating. I've never been
What?
before. Yeah, I've
Even though
never
you
been
were
before.
you liked hockey and you were like, I
Yeah,
think I'm gonna do it.
yeah. Like I've never been. I've been on rollerblades. I've never been on skates either, but I've been on rollerblades. And those were like secondhand pair because my cousin had them, so I would put them on and try to do it myself. That was fun,
Yeah.
but I've never actually like done the whole like ice skating thing. And I've always been afraid I'm gonna bust my ass or But
You
I,
won't.
I know for a fact back in the disco rollering days, I would have been like,
Oh
I would
yeah.
have been like, yeah, I would have. Oh my god, that would have been so much fun with the music.
Super good.
Oh yes,
Hmm.
oh yes. Mm-hmm. That would have been so much fun.
Hmm. I have some. I'm freezing. I think I'm frozen. Can you hear
No,
me
you're good.
still?
You're good.
Okay. I have some rollerblades, and I'm supposedly, but I don't really make the time to exercise. But I think
Mm.
like in this injury that I had, like I had a dream, and you actually asked me, well, how? And I was like, get out of my damn dream, Fernando.
Wait. You
Trying to
now you
check me
froze.
about my injury.
Wait. Say that. Wait. So what did I ask you? Because you froze for that second. So what? So
Okay.
I.
So when I was hurt, like I took a nap right after the injury, right before I had to tell you that I was hurt.
Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And so we were hanging out at the store that you had whatever in the dream,
Huh.
and you sold like baked goods in the front. And somebody came in and they were like, "Oh, is this for sale?" And you were like, "Yes, of course." And then you and I, we were just talking, and you were like, "Well, how often are you working out?" And so when I woke up, I was like, "So I need to like do some fitness, number one, because I
Hmm.
probably would be less injured if I
Hmm.
wasn't." But I
Hmm.
was like, "Damn him for showing up in my dream to ask me this question."
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, you never told me about yeah. How often have you had your? Because you don't tell me anything about that stuff. Like when you have a dream or something. Like I'm like, what? Why am I just hearing this
Yeah,
for the first
I have
time?
dreams all the time. Well, I don't know. I guess because I'm so like to myself, you know.
Mm, mm,
I guess I'm not gonna lie about it. It is hard to like open up in that way and
uh,
to like share with my friends because so often in my life when I have opened up and shared about my dreams or visions that I have, I've gotten shamed for it, you know?
Mm,
So even though I know you're, like, not gonna do that, it's still something I have to work through, you know?
yeah.
But I have dreams all the time, like, is sometimes overwhelming. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Please leave me alone."
Mm. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I internalize everything, and whenever I'm going through something or I'm suffering through something, this is one of my areas of opportunities. That's what I call them. That's what we used to call everything at Starbucks. Like,
Mhm.
sweetheart, your area of opportunity today is trying to get that milk just at the right temperature. So that's going to be your area of opportunity. So instead of like you suck at this, get better at it. But that's something that my area of
Right,
opportunity is communicating my pain or my struggles because as much as I have been through stuff and I understand stuff and I can build up and recoup from stuff, at the same time I don't always share my
yeah.
own pain with everyone when I'm in the midst of it, because
Mhm.
sometimes some people might say the right thing, some people might say the wrong thing, some people don't know what to say. And I know no matter what, I'm going to get through it because I always get through it. So if anything, it's just more of like, okay, this is what I'm going through. And I kind of just am more quiet into myself. If you notice me like pulling back or detaching for a while, it's not because like, oh, I don't want to have to do with you, I don't want to talk to you. It's just because, oh, he's in his own bubble and he's probably like working through some stuff. That's what it is. So that's my
Right.
hang up.
Same, same. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have been having to Phoenix every week since 1984 through
Mm-hmm.
something. I'm like, "Okay, on the horse again." I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like everything like, can I really share? Makes me feel like, "Ouch, okay, now I have to keep moving," you know? There's so
Mm-hmm.
many. So, I understand. I totally get you in that way.
Yeah, Stephanie was like, Stephanie saying, I understand that I'm so incredibly private that
That's
it
my girl.
makes it hard. Oh, that it makes it hard for me to connect on a personal level. Stephanie,
Mhm. Yeah, she's
I don't, yeah, I don't have trouble. Like, it's not about privacy. I wouldn't say it's about it's a privacy issue for me because I'm super open about a lot of things. I mean, I'm pretty much an open book. I got like maybe one page that I just don't show to everybody, but aside from that, I got like I'm pretty open to people. I talk about anything and everything. So it's not so much about the privacy. I would say it's more about sometimes it's like I don't expect people to be able to relate to the pain in the same way because it might mean something very different to me than it does to that person. So, and not only that, sometimes when I vocalize it, it empowers the pain or empowers the issue. And sometimes I don't want to empower it. I want to pull back as much as possible and like pivot myself into the direction of the things that I want to work on or that I'd rather focus on. So for me, it's like more about that than anything
Mhm.
else. So, mm-mm. Got
Yeah.
let's see, Mars. I've got Mars here.
Yeah.
Maria. She's asking a question. Let me see. Let me see if she wants to
My
come on.
video has been terrible since I tried to tell you about that dream that I had.
What? Well, yeah, your video's a little sketchy, but that's okay. You know, it's the
Oh, yeah,
holidays. I
terrible.
mean, it's still 2020. Like after
Yeah.
2020, you're not allowed.
Oh,
So, Mars,
oh, okay. I'll get together about
I'm sending you a link. Click that link. It's going to open up your web browser and it's going to take you directly to your web page, to a web page so that you can ask to be a guest and then just type in your first name and then it's going to come up on my end so that way I can bring you on as a guest. I may not bring you on as video. I may just bring you on as audio because I'm going to try that. But if I bring you on as video, don't be shocked if you're still in like curlers and you're freaking out.
okay, I'm coming back now. You know, Stephanie has a really great, earring and, like, accessory shop, so she
Oh.
gets my little peacock eyeballs I got from her.
Hmm.
Just wanna put that out there. She sells amazing jewelry. We
Stephanie,
went to high school
share.
together also.
Oh, Stephanie, share your page or your link, and then I'll that way it can show up in the comment section so people can go to it and they want to check it out.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm.
Thank you.
Um, so, what are you going to focus on for the new year? What's your main focus? Like, what do you want to do for 2021?
I think I wanna really put myself into spending time with my kids and making the YouTube fun, because when
Mm,
I thought I was losing my mind, I stopped doing that because I had to focus on coming back.
Mm-hmm.
from wherever the hell I went to.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like I lost the fun that I was having because in January when I was like, okay, I want to start this business, I was like, okay, kids, let's have fun and let's do this and let's show how much fun we are and let's just have fun. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, oh my God, I'm so depressed. Oh, I'm psychic. Oh, I'm so feeling sorry for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to have a good time, because I really think that even though maybe not right away things will be tough, like at some point things are going to get tough. I just want to put the foundation there that's like we just love each other so much and we just have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to spend
So,
time with my
so you
kids.
say you kind of want to shift the like the energy of like the relationship that you have with your kids over from just being mom that's responsible to like we get each other, or like we can still have
Yeah.
just friend time or fun time instead of just being mom and kids.
Well, I don't know if I would even call it like friend time, but just to like understand each other like on a soul level, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. Because I mean, they have stuff to do here that doesn't have anything to do with me or, you know, the Roy name, our bloodline. Like they have their own work here. And I just want them to be able to express themselves as they are and to tap into whatever gifts they have and to be able to move in the direction that they feel called to. Because I just wasn't able to do that. There's
Mm-hmm.
so much. And I know you probably had some of this growing up too, just being a human in America. But it's like, your parents are like, okay, well, you have to do this and we have to do this and this has to be done and you have to act like this. And I just want to be able to move away from that because I just see myself so much like, stop, 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 stop. And it's like, let's chill a little bit, like,
Mm-hmm.
let's just relax some, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just want them to be able to expand, to be honest, and
Mm-hmm.
I never wanna be the person stepping on their greatness.
I mean, if I were them, I would appreciate that 100%. There's so many people that I talk to that I've met who they've become the product of what their parents wanted them to become,
Mhm.
and they're not happy, but they're still doing it and they're meeting their obligations, and it's depressing because I'm like, oh my god, like I can't imagine living for someone. I get it, it happens all the time. There's a lot of people who are living for their families or for the pressure that they're put under, but they're not living for
Mhm.
themselves, you know. And I mean, I know I've spoken to several doctors who didn't ever want to be a doctor. They just wanted to be able to be something and have their family be proud of them. But their family would only
Mhm.
accept, you know, them going off and going to medical school and being a doctor. So it's like all this
Right.
pressure. It's sad, but it's also like, well, what would you become? Like, what would you do if you weren't a doctor? You know,
Yeah.
what else would you do? And so it makes them think that way.
Yeah, but okay, so I'm reading this book, you probably read it, The Psychic Pathway. So in one of her little
Is that
notes about one of
Sonia
her
Chiquette?
clients. Yeah, yeah. In one of her little quotes about her client, she's talking
Yeah.
about how miserable he was as a medical doctor,
Mm-hmm.
but then and how he did that to appease his mother or his
Mm-hmm.
dad. But she kind of helped him find himself, and he became like a counselor, which he was still able to use his degree, but he was able to kind of be a little bit more free with it. And then I guess he wanted to like paint or something. But that's what I mean is like people are not doing the artistic thing that they feel led to because they're like, well, that's not going to pay me. Well, like, okay, maybe you don't have to get paid from it, but still
Right.
go do it because, you didn't come here to be the doctor that your parents want you to be. Like if you were meant to paint this great picture, then you're not fulfilling that purpose that you had,
Mm.
you know?
Well, when you were a kid and when you were younger, like besides sports, because it sounded like you were really passionate about sports.
Yeah.
What is
Soccer
that?
was.
Oh, soccer. Yeah. Is it was that something that you just were obsessed with as a kid, or was there something else also that you were obsessed with besides the soccer?
No, I was obsessed with being Carol Burnett. I
Really?
knew I was yes, I knew I was going to be on someone's television as a something. And I was like, I know I can do it. Everybody wants to hear me sing and everybody wants to listen to me tell jokes. And I
So I
just
mean, what? But Carol Burnett's thing was doing skits. I hardly ever see you. I've not seen you do a skit, but
well,
why
I
don't you
just
do some
wrote a
skit?
little something
Mm-hmm.
to get well, and the thing is that I guess I don't do it because just like most people, I've never done it, so it takes me some time to get there, but I think
Mm,
in the fun that I'll be able to have, moving forward, I'll allow myself to open up a little bit and to have more fun because like my number one thing is like reaching my community on a level that is going to help them to understand that the judgment and the way that we raise our kids, just like I'm talking
mm,
about not doing, is affecting adults so tremendously. Like, I have so many clients who want to do XYZ, but don't do it because in the back of their mind, all they can think about is, well, what is my mom going to say?
right.
Well, no offense, but really fuck her, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like if we could hit it before we get there in teaching the adults with the kids now to stop doing that and stop doing it to each other as adults. Like all this last week, there was so much talk about Thanksgiving food and how you cook Thanksgiving food and you're not black enough if you don't cook it like this. And it's
What?
like, oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And it's like we don't realize how
Mm,
much damage that really actually does to our community as a whole because people are like, well, I'm not able to be who I'm supposed to be because if I do it like this, I'm
mm,
not going to be black. And then if I'm not black, then I'll be ostracized and I'll be excommunicated from the community because I want to put raisins in my dressing or
mm.
whatever. It's so ridiculous.
Right.
So I came up with a little skit that I'm gonna try to put together for that. And actually, I think I'll have him do a lot of skits. This is
Mm.
a male character called Super Nigga, and he is going
Oh my
to
god.
he is and
Oh,
he
oh
is going
god.
to okay, so the story of him, now I'm telling it to everybody, but whatever.
Right.
So his story is that he was eaten alive by regular niggas, and
Mm.
so he comes to haunt them and every time they're doing something normal, like, like eating noodles, because that's all they have, he
Yeah.
will show up and be like, "Level up, nigga."
Oh my
Because
god.
that's the way
That's
we do each other, and it's so terrible, and I hate it because, like, what if that's all they have, you know?
yeah.
What if what they have right now is all they have? So instead of shaming them, teach them how to get more.
Mm.
All these people who know how to get more and to live a better life, instead of teaching others how to do it, they're like, you can't get up here.
Mm.
I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm.
So
Hey y'all, ancestors, ifalala lala lalas. That's a troll, y'all. That person will take your money. So if you're on Facebook and you're getting messaged by that person saying inbox me and all this BS, that person is a troll. They will take your money. So you need to report them as spam and then block them. That way they can, um, yeah.
oh, he
Look
has
at what is
sent a
that? Oh my
long
God! Look,
message.
my people try to
He
make
said,
good use of this opportunity that has been given to you, because opportunity comes but once. But once, my friend. But once. Um, I am here to help you with the following. Sweetheart, there is a spiritual law, Mr. Ancestors of Falalas. There is a spiritual law which basically says you cannot control someone else's destiny or life by choosing to use your own energy to do so. Like, you can't do it. You can only assist them with what they wish to create for themselves. So
mm,
if you could give someone the lotto numbers, then you should play it and win it yourself. That way you don't have to be on here begging people to give you money, because you're begging people for money. It's pathetic. It's disgusting. Please, y'all, please trust me. I have the ultimate power of the universe, and I can bring you instant money, love spell, police case, money rituals. You're a fool, and you're trying to make money off of these poor folks who don't know any better. It's unacceptable. So it's
he said
unacceptable.
low sperm count. So
Low spread. Oh,
low
girl.
he's gonna fix your ball sack too. All those
Yeah,
things. The most
that's
powerful
ridiculous.
magician we've ever seen.
That is
The
ridiculous.
And it's a
No.
shame because those people who really do that work, I mean, there are people who really practice
Yeah.
that religion and they
Yeah.
go to the Babalawo to find out what path they're on, just
Yeah.
like you and I do, just helping people
Mm-hmm.
to, figure out their direction.
Yeah.
But this is a disrespect even to them.
Yeah.
Like this is not real. And so, like I told you once before, the lady was like, yeah, somebody took $500 from me. This type of guy did that to her.
Oh
That's
yeah. Oh
wrong.
no. I know. I had this woman who she called and left this long message, and I don't know why she called me because I had nothing to do with whatever the hell she was going through. But she had
Mhm.
basically like gone to a street psychic. Hey Maria, I've got Maria in the guest room. I'll bring her on in a
Okay.
second. But
I'm gonna look
I
for it.
yeah. So she had left a long message. I wish I would have saved it because it was just ridiculous. The story. Essentially, she had gone to this like street psychic, and they told her that her ring, because she had gotten a divorce and she had gotten like a few 100,000 out of her divorce. And the psychic said, you know, if you spend any of the money without cleansing it first, and if you try to go forward without cleansing your ring, you're going to curse yourself, and you're going to forever be cursed, and you will never have love or money again, and you'll lose it
She
all.
believed it.
So of course she believed it, and
Uh,
so the only way to cure it was for her to send the check to the psychic along with her ring, so that it can be properly
right.
blessed and the work can be done on it. So she
Right.
sent it, and of course the psychic disappeared and never, you know, she never heard from the psychic again. And of course she's calling me, telling me this whole story. It's like a 10 or 15 minute. Like I was like, how am I having this like long voicemail? And I felt bad for her, but I was like, girl, like there's a limit to stupidity. That's stupidity. Like I'm not gonna send a check for a few $100,000, a cashier's check, and also freaking a ring to some random person that's supposedly, you know, that's ridiculous. Like, why would you even do that? So I kind of felt bad for her, but then I was like, girl, this is a tough lesson for you to learn, but maybe you will learn it, you know?
I don't give a damn who you are. Like, there is a limit
Mm-hmm.
to what can be done by another
Mm-hmm.
human body. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just stress that so much because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
just like we've talked about in the last time we talked, we were talking about protection and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, protect yourself from people who are trying to steal from you. If
Mm-hmm.
they see that you are the kind of person that will go seek advice,
Mm-hmm.
they will be like, okay, good. I got a sucker over here if
Mm-hmm.
you will fall into the trap. So it's like,
Yeah.
just use your intuition to know whether or not this person that you're talking to is legit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm.
Ah,
Here, let's see.
like
Let's
I'm
see.
talking about people have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars behind
But let's see.
um
But you know, people, I mean, people, they just, they do it again. Like they do it repeatedly. I've heard of people doing this over and over and over again. And I'm just like, if you go to someone who says they can fix your problems for you and they're gonna make everything better for you, they're
mhm,
they're messing with you. They're gonna take your money because you need to fix
right,
your own problems. You know, it's like it's Jesus and
absolutely,
God. Like, don't come to me. You made the mess on earth. You fix it. I'll support you in the
right,
process of fixing it. I'll support you in the process of tearing it all down, but I'm here to witness. I'm not here to fix your problems for you. Jesus, please fix the problem for me, please. I know I'm stupid and I know I shouldn't have done it. I should have done it differently and I know I should. Okay, but you're still repeating the mistakes. So why would Jesus fix your problems for you? You fix your own problems, then you don't have to ask
right.
Jesus to fix your problems for you, you know? Let's see.
Jesus is like standing there
Mm-mm.
going, "Ugh, I'm not showing up for this.
Mm-hmm.
What you talking about?"
Okay, so let me see. Let me try to bring Marie on because she's in the guest room.
Okay,
Now, I'm supposed to be able to bring her on without actually having her come on as video. That was the
okay.
point, right? That so let me see. I got the caller button line, caller on the line there. So let me see. Okay, so assign to. Okay, let's see. I added her in. Let's see. All right, and then.
Just so you'll know, we're not reading or he's not doing any readings. We're just talking.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Okay, so got it. Okay, so she should be. Can you hear us, Maria? Nope, still can hear. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Let me try to. Oh, we brought
Oh,
you
there
on
she is.
as video.
Oh, hi.
I see. I was like,
Hey.
I was trying to bring it on without because they said you can bring someone on, but it has to be, it can be audio. I was like, okay, let me try that, and then it, like, no, it brought you on as audio, so video. So, hi, Mama, how you doing?
Okay. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. What did you want to ask about?
Well, I've always thought about why sometimes I have certain emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't sure if it's just I'm an emotional person, sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
or am I really like an empath? Because I've
Mm-hmm.
seen some of your videos. Sometimes I don't have time to like watch them all or keep up with, more of the videos that you post. Um, but I really want to know if I am,
Mm-hmm.
or and if I am, what book or any recommendations that you have for me to follow up on to kind of see how I can help myself
Mm-hmm.
without those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times it's like out of nowhere, I'll just be really like frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm like sad and like for no reason. There's nothing specific in my life that would cause me to be like really upset one day or frustrated. And it's just like, oh, it's just frustrating for me not to be able to know why I have certain feelings and if I am an empath or it's just me just being really emotional.
So it depends on the individual because a lot of people will watch a video or they'll see something online and they'll automatically assume that that's the category that they fall under. And
Right.
you know, when you think about it as a whole, we are all sensitives. We are all designed to be empaths. We're all designed to have that emotional connection with each other. We taught ourselves over many generations to not be emotional with each other because it was seen as a weakness or as something that really wouldn't help us to survive if we were constantly overly emotional. But emotions are what help us to feel alive and they allow us to connect with each other's pain. You cannot help other people or be there for others or help yourself unless you understand what a person is going through and relate to them. And that's what we connect with is through the emotions of love and pain and suffering. So we're all psychic. We all come into the world psychically open. We're trained and taught through constant conditioning by our families, oh, stop crying, stop making a big deal out of that,
Mhm.
stop. And so we're trained to not be emotionally sensitive. But some of us, because we are that sensitive, which would qualify as an empath, some of us who are more empathic or more sensitive in that way, we we can't help it. We're going to feel what we feel. And some
Mhm.
of what you may be feeling may actually be energy coming from the ether coming from other people. It may be coming from your neighbor's house, it may be coming from what's going on in the world right now, it may be coming from an event that's going to happen in the near future. You just don't know exactly what it is, but you can feel the energy coming, and it's just overwhelming to the point where sometimes you can't help but want to cry for no reason at all. It's just like, why do I feel
Mhm.
like this? Nothing's going on in my life, nothing's happening. I would suggest first to make sure you check your hormones, especially your thyroid, because there's something a little bit off with your thyroid, and I do feel that there is a little bit of a hormonal imbalance there that does affect emotions. But I
Mhm.
don't feel like that's where this is coming from. I do think that most of what you're sensing is because you are an empath and because you're just more emotionally sensitive than other people.
Yeah, I always feel like I have one of those tendencies that some people have where you just feel trustworthy to other people and
Yeah.
everybody wants to tell you their problems.
Mm.
And for some reason, when I hear things, or people or conversations about people and what they're going through, it's like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I want to help. Like,
Yeah.
what can I do to help them? And then I'm like thinking, but wait a minute, why do I always feel like I have to do something to
Mm-hmm.
help a person, even if it's strangers?
Mm-hmm.
People on the street, if I see that somebody's confused, I keep staring at them to see, do they need help? Should I come up to them? Should I say something?
Mm-hmm.
It's like always like me, like trying to see who needs me so
Yeah.
that I can go and help. But I'm like, is it just me? Is it just a feeling of I should try to do something, or the feeling that you know what I mean? Like it's kind of weird. Like why am I always feeling like this? And why do I like a lot of people want to just like talk to me and they open up to me a lot of things. And even in the I used to work in the medical field, like a medical
Mm-hmm.
assistant, like
Mm-hmm.
all the patients that would come into me, like sometimes the doctors were like, "Oh, you took forever to come out of the room from the patient."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, they just kept talking to me. They just
Mm-hmm.
like wanted information and what do you think and blah blah blah. And I was like, I can't help it. Everybody just keeps asking me for, certain advice or what do you think? What should I say? I'm like, I don't know why everybody just comes towards me to,
Yeah.
even strangers. So
When you meet people, if you care about humans and if you love humans,
Mhm.
this is the curse of humanity because if you love humans and care about humans, by default, you're automatically open to energy exchanges with the rest of the world because you are in that moment choosing to care. The moment you choose to care, your being is going to reflect that and and create that connection with everyone around you. So carrying to the level that you have has been part of the issue, part of the problem. And sometimes when we care so much about other people, we get drawn into their drama. Michelle, how often have you felt the need to want to be there for someone, been there for them, and then kicked yourself all over the place for being there for them or trying to help them out because you felt the need to help them?
Oh, very often in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I built some better boundaries that I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Because I had to remember that, like, I have to also consider myself. Like, yes, I care about these other people, but in knowing how drawing so much of their energy into my experience through the help,
Mm-hmm.
what it does to me, like, there's somebody that I used to expend on nonstop. When I stopped that relationship, I was able to create a whole business. You see what I'm saying? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like you look at what you're giving out to others, it's like, I guess my thing is, when you're in that situation, are they doing something with what you're giving them?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're not, then it's like, okay, I can't keep doing this because I am giving you every bit of me and you are doing nothing with my energy. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean?
Mm-hmm. Maria, how often do you
Mhm.
set boundaries with people? How often do you tell people what you will and will not accept? Or do your boundaries suck?
Yeah.
Yeah, boundaries suck, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. We are here in this mess of reality we call the physical world all together. We're all here together. We are all going to experience various levels of suffering. That's a given. There's nothing we can do to change that. That's why we're here to experience levels of conflict and suffering because it helps us to connect with the highest form of love, which is God. And so we are here to learn all these experiences, how all these experiences, learn all these things. And through pain, through suffering, through some of the things that we go through, we get those experiences. We are here together, and because of this, our hearts are going to break for those who we see suffering as well. And a lot of times, a lot of people, especially women, tend to do this with lovers. They find the the, the the puppy that's crying the most, and they bring the puppy in, and they try to heal the puppy, fix the puppy, remove the suffering of the puppy. And inevitably, the puppy becomes a dog, gets too comfortable, and then bites back because it didn't get what you were giving it on a regular basis. And this is what tends to be with most people's relationships. But we also do the same thing with society, with our bosses, with our family members, etc. And honestly, with empaths, my experience, the people who are empaths, who are the most sensitive, are also the most ruthless because they, instead of finding a way to cope with that pain, they will lash out and use it as a weapon because it
Oh,
it supports and protects them from being hurt further. And if they can control that pain and control that as a weapon, they can use it to push people away and to get people to move away from them and to get away from them. So there's a couple of things you can do to help yourself get more control of this. One is you need an outlet for your pain. That outlet can come through an activity or through a person you can share yourself with. If you do it through an activity, it has to be some activity that allows you to express that pain in the most authentic way possible, even if it's absolutely horrific, but it needs to be expressed. You can be journaling, art, whatever you feel the need to express it with. If it's through people, have a couple of people in your life that you can turn to when things get tough or when you just need to like vent and express yourself. And this is something that, I do have people I can reach out to, even though I tend to internalize everything. I still will reach out to people when I really need to talk about something or get something off my chest. And it's usually when I'm at my worst, so they'll get that Ferny ugly cry moment where they're like, like I'm ready to sing, So, but it's what it is, and it helps me. Or I use my work or my creations or my art, which I sometimes post online. But that's one way to help you give yourself an outlet. If you don't give yourself an outlet, it builds and builds, and your body actually will take on that energy. You'll start to see an increase in fluid retention within the body. You may have symptoms of different things going on, palpitations with your heart. You may not sleep well, etc. So you have to give yourself a way to express it. If you don't express it, you're going to build it up, build it up, build it up. And if you're also really psychically sensitive on top of being an empath, because it's a level of psychic ability, but if you don't express it and you just like to just hold it in, and you're already a psychic sensitive, you're going to start to notice more paranormal experiences outside of you happening within your home around you. Things will start to kick up because there's a part of you that wants to release it. It's not getting released. So you will break yourself up into a piece, which we call a projection of yourself. Some people call it astral projection, but it's a projection of energy. Your energy will project another version of itself, the version of you that is not expressing itself and feels the most of it, and it becomes an entity or a being in your home. And that's what you think about when you think of poltergeist activity. When people start having like a lot of stuff that they can't explain, they automatically assume it must be the house or it must be, this evil man with a hat. He's following me. Like everybody's had that dream with that dark shadow of a man with a hat. Like it's a very common. It's because of fear and people in how they've been conditioned. But you have to express it. If you don't express it, it's going to show up in some sort of activity in your home. So that's why it's important to express it.
Okay.
Don't turn your lovers into projects. If you feel that calling, don't try to resolve that calling with the people closest to you, because that's not the best way to do it. Resolve that calling through a career or a practice. Like you said, you were in the medical industry. That's a way to express it. So if you want to help people or connect with people, go and volunteer or get a job at a hospice center. Go and do anything where you can actually share in people's pain and be with them as they're going through it, because they're going to need someone whose hand they can hold while they're going through the hardest periods of their life. And sometimes the transition or the death, a lot of people die alone, and so they might want someone to be there with them while they're going through that process. So that's a way to express this need to be there as an empath, but not get burned by the empathy that you have for others who do not have respect for the biggest heart that you are choosing to reside within.
Okay.
All right, Mama. Well, I hope you have a good Christmas. It's the next holiday up, so take it easy, and thank you for coming on here.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sweetheart. Take
Bye.
care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. So let's see. I
Mm-hmm.
got the stain on the screen. I'm like, how do I get that off? How do I get that
Okay. What's up,
off?
silhouette
I'm
boo?
like, how do I get that off? And it's funny because I literally went through the process of like trying to make sure that wasn't gonna happen, and that happened. So I was like, okay, I guess that's it right there. So
They
let's.
literally use the most basic silhouette they could find. They're like,
Yeah, and you know what
okay.
bothered me? Like earlier when I was looking at this, the male number one is a male, and number two is a female. And I'm like, why is number one a male? Why can't it number one be a female? So I was already thinking about that when I first saw it there. So I was like,
This society and toxic masculinity, it's never, I don't think, I won't say never, but I don't think in the next 20 years will we be able to eradicate it without some serious shifting, and people are just going to have to come to terms with the fact that, I mean, maybe we can change some of these, gender roles. Like, I'm not going to lie, I do want my husband to come through here and take my car for an oil change. I'm not
mm-hmm.
going to lie about it because I don't want to do it. Oh, hey, I'm by
Hey.
myself. Hey.
There. Okay. I was like, I'm trying to get it back. I'm like, where is it? Where is it? And there it is. Okay.
Okay, and now also the wine is kicking in, so my tomball voice is coming out. So, but I am looking forward to somebody taking my car to go get an oil change because I don't do it. I mean, I need to go do it, but like that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking for somebody to really be a partner because there are things like I was telling the kids the other day, they were saying something. And I was like, well, it's kind of hard when you got to be mom and dad. Sorry, like we're all right. Are we alive? We're succeeding here, you know.
No, I think that something that I wanted a lot more of. I mean, because I didn't have a father, so I came in already wanting to feel like accepted by male and just loved by male. And then as I got older, and of course my sexuality kicked in, then that's what I wanted. I wanted this like bro type guy who was like, I'm gonna take care of your oil baby. I'm gonna, make sure that I'm like, yes, please do, because I really do like to be spoiled, and I really like to be just pampered in that way. But at the same time, that's not what I ended up with, and I never even got close to having that kind of person. Everybody was more needier than anything else. It was like needier than shit. So that's not what ended up happening, and so I ended up with Ed and I, and he was just there, and I was like, well, like I
He was
there was a
just
lot.
there.
He was just there, and I was like, I had all these expectations for him, and I felt like in the beginning I was like, well, yeah, like because all the mindset, all the thinking of like this is how it's supposed to be, this is how you're supposed to be, etc. And I actually think I'm so appreciative to Ed because he taught me some of the greatest lessons in my life, which is stop trying to change me, just either love me or don't, but stop trying to change me, stop trying to mess with me. And
Yeah.
when I looked at him, truly looked at him for who he really was, like I really appreciated him for who he is, and I still to this day I appreciate him for who he is. And there's so many
I mean, y'all
tender and
still together.
precious. Yeah, we're still together. Yeah, it's been 10 plus years. So there are things I appreciate about him. Could our relationship improve? Well, of course, every relationship has its areas of opportunity,
Yeah.
but it's not a horrible relationship. It's a good relationship, and I'm grateful for it. And if anything, yeah, it would be nice to have someone do this for you, do that for you. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna go and take, go and I'm gonna do this for you today, or I'm gonna or pamper you. Here's some flowers or whatever. Which I did get flowers. Ed was the first person in my life. I not actually he's the second person in my life that ever got me flowers, but it's one of those things where you want these things. You just want to be
Yeah.
pampered. You just want to be showered. So I was like, like I'm like one of these days I'm like, maybe I should get a sugar daddy or something. Maybe I should have someone who's like, hey, just smile at me every now and then. Here, I'll take care of you.
They
That would be
ain't looking for
nice.
no smiles.
But they ain't looking for smiles. They're looking,
Oh,
they're looking for
it's like,
something
let me see
different.
your whole ass
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right now.
I want to see, yeah, like I want to see the whole thing. Double take up the screen. Okay, sure.
Yes.
That's what they do. Yeah.
Supermoon me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I am not in the mood for that. But I hear what you're saying. Like, and I think realistically, like,
Mm-hmm.
I will be open to the partner that is, you know, for me. Because I really believe in the things that are happening are divinely guided. And the person is going to meet some sort of criteria within me that says, "Oh, you might be it," you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, right now I'm just kind of like, getting my house together because honestly, like if I was the man
Mm-hmm.
who's supposed to be with me and I walked into this situation, I would be like, first of all, why is a little girl cut a hole in the screen? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
there's just so many things that I feel like I just need to balance and just get a hold on myself before I can be like, yes, now we're ready to accept a new individual. Cause like it's already three people with three personalities,
Mm-hmm.
adding a whole new person that doesn't know us would be a cluster. And then we would have a whole new YouTube channel of try-
Mm-hmm.
trying to get married or whatever. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm just taking my time, but I do need somebody to take my car to get a oil change
But
because
do
I'm
we
not.
ever really know ourselves? Do we ever really because you're like I'm trying to get my house in order and I'm trying to figure myself out. But do we ever really figure
No, I
ourselves
know me.
out?
Them.
Yeah.
It's them. It's them in
Mm.
the arguing.
Mm.
No, I mean, but that's I guess to be expected. But like I think I mean we grow so much. So no, I mean, you can't really ever know all the things, but I think once you know yourself enough to decide what kind of partner would complement you,
Mm.
that's when you can, say I'm open to dating. Like I still am remembering not to be making people projects. So I have to be cautious with boys I like because I'm
Mm.
like, remember, this one needs medicine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever. So if it's sick, don't take it home,
Yeah.
you know?
But there's a difference between projects. And it's good that we're talking about this because that's a big distinction to make. There's a difference between projects and just working on stuff that comes up in a relationship. And like, how do you tell the difference between, oh well, this person's got a lot of work. And this ain't relationship work. This is like they got to work on their own drama here. This whole layer that came with them that wasn't part of this relationship deal. That's more like project stuff, But for you,
Mhm.
what's a project, scenario, and what's a just growing pains?
Well, I think I have never really been good at until now, I say, because
Mm,
I'm somebody different, really.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, I was always in that, just like Maria. I was like, "Okay, you like me, I like you too, and you sick, so come here real quick."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, and so I would be like, "Yeah, you can be great." And so that's why I was like, "Okay, well, if I am doing all this encouragement, I might as well do it to strangers who actually, want to work on themselves,
Mm,
as opposed to these people who I'm sleeping with or in a relationship with who are like, I'm fine, I'm okay, and just sluggish and all misaligned. And it's not my responsibility to be doing that." So,
mm,
I mean, I think if you are in a place where you are happy by yourself, then you're okay.
mm-hmm,
It's if you're slightly miserable, really, really looking for a partner, like really, really hard, and then we end up in a relationship together, and then I am the basis of your happiness, that's when I might have a red flag and say, okay, well, this is a problem for me
mm,
because I have a whole life that doesn't include catering to you. So if your happiness is hinged upon whether or not I'm gonna be in your face, then prepare to
mm-hmm,
be miserable
mm,
because I have shit to do. Like, I'm sorry, like that's the type of person that is going to work for me. Somebody who also has stuff to do. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
Like, you have to also have things to do because I literally have so many people to be responsible for just in me, myself, and my kids that I can't be like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna sit with you all day and spend 12 hours hugged up every day." Like, that's not feasible.
mm,
But there are people who will really expect that from you and be like, "What do you mean? You can't just sit with me all day?" Like,
mm.
"Bro, are you crazy? Like, how my kids gonna eat if I'm up your butt?"
Yeah. I don't understand people's need for the significant other to fulfill like every whim or every single thing that they want like out of life.
Mhm.
I think that's been the issue that I've encountered with most clients that when am I going to meet my soulmate? When they say soulmates, like when am I going to meet the person who's going to make all my dreams come true and make my life complete and make me happy? You know, and the
Mhm.
first thing is, why the hell would you wait for someone to make your life complete, to make you happy, and to fulfill all of your dreams? Like, why would you wait for that? Like, why would you disempower yourself and hand over all of the potential that you have every right to and ability to achieve yourself? Why would you hand that over to someone? And I think that that's where you immediately that's already a red flag. Oh, you're going to be waiting a long time because most people who are like that and they go into a relationship automatically as soon as they go into a relationship they put all of these expectations, all of this pressure, all of this idealism onto that person, and that poor soul is walking in not even realizing, oh crap, they're like they're putting all this on me, now I'm responsible for
Right.
all these things, maybe I'm just gonna drop out of radar. Why did they ghost me? What's wrong? Like, hello, maybe because you put all the pressure on them. And like if you just go into it without having so much care or concern whether it's going to turn into anything at all,
Right.
you're probably going to be more honest and authentic, and then y'all can get past the fake bullshit that most people come into a relationship with within the first 2 months, 3 months. Because after that time,
Yeah.
that's when things get real and people start to show their true selves because
Mhm.
the novelty factor has worn off and they're like, oh, okay, like now I can be more comfortable with you. And that's when people realize, maybe I want to rethink this. And then they,
Yeah.
disappear.
That's when you start getting slapped around a little bit too. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, no, I didn't know
Yeah.
Bob was like this." Like,
This.
like like, I
Right.
literally just am expecting to hopefully find somebody I could be really good friends with
Mm,
that will develop into a really great love affair,
mm-hmm.
even if it doesn't last forever. Like, I just, you know, wanna have a
Mm-hmm.
good time because that's always my focus is, like, how can we have fun and just vibe together? Not
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't wanna have a ton of expectations, I just want it to be cool. Like, I just
Mm-hmm.
want it to be cool, and I just wanna have a good time and be myself, like, A number 1. Like, I wanna be accepted, I plan to accept whoever they are as they are, I don't want to be trying to change people. What was that Ruben Studdard song? He said, "Why you wanna change me?" Yeah. Like, I don't wanna do that, and I don't want anybody trying to change me either because
Mm.
I have been in relationships where it's like this is what has happened to me. It's like men would see my light and be like, "Oh, yeah, I gotta get some of that," and then get there and be
Mhm.
like, "Let me turn the light switch off right now because I don't want anybody else showing up over here where I am." And so then they, like, kind of will try to manipulate
Mm.
you into being a more subdued version of yourself, and that is so dissatisfying. And I don't ever wanna do that again. I
Mhm.
always want to be as boisterous and fun as I absolutely am, and if you can't handle it, then you're just not the person that needs to be in my life.
Mm. How often have you asked a guy out, or how often have you approached a guy and said, "Hey, you're cool. You want to hang? You want to chill? You know?" How often have you done that?
Oh, probably not very much. Probably not very much, and it's because I think of that whole, I don't know if it's like a stigma, if it's a real thing, but, like, men sometimes behave kinda funny whenever you do that, and they're like, "Why are you over here trying to make me feel like I'm being courted?" It's so hard.
Mm. But does
'Cause,
that
I mean,
that
I
type of
wouldn't mind doing it.
but then that type of male, like, when you think of that type of male, is that the kind of male that aligns with what you described, that
What,
that
have
other
fun?
that partner, yeah, like, is a kind of male who wants to dominate or control how a relationship moves forward, or who has the power in the relationship, is that because you can call that chivalry, which I mean, I love chivalry. I want the doors open for me, and I want someone to, here you go, sweetheart, come on, have a seat, yeah, it's totally baby me, whatever. But at the same time, like, don't tell me what to do, because I'm still deciding for myself,
Yeah.
you know.
No, but I think there's a part of me too that also wants to be pursued. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
mm,
Like, I'm not even going to pretend that she's not there going, "You gonna choose me,"
mm,
you know? Like,
mm,
there's a part of me that does also want to have it to be reciprocal. Like, that's why I like friendship because it's like, okay, we're talking, we're friends. Okay, we decide we like each other. Now we go out.
mm,
So it's not like weird. It's like, okay, we just kind of arrived at this place under like a mutual understanding, if that
mm-hmm,
makes sense.
mm-hmm. The first person I ever asked out in my life, I'm still with that person. So,
You're so Ed is the
mm,
guy that you were like, "I'm just gonna do it."
do it. I'm just gonna because part of me, I guess growing up the way I grew up, not having that male in my life, I always was waiting to be asked. I wanted to be pursued.
Yeah,
I love being pursued. I love being, people like, oh my God, I love you, like, spend time with me, whatever. But that's just me liking attention. But then there's a part of me where it's like, I see you and you're worthy of me, and I want to ask you out. And I always wanted that. And yes, I did get asked out, but at the same time, it's not like setting myself up for that. I think I was doing it from a place of insecurity. I was doing it from a place
yeah,
of desiring of acceptance. And when you're coming from a place of desiring of acceptance, you're acknowledging you're not accepted. You're acknowledging all these things about yourself. So I ran an experiment, and I was like, you know what? And this was like after my last breakup with my ex, and I was like, I'm sick and tired of waiting for guys to figure this shit out. Like, I'm sick and tired of waiting for people to figure out how amazing I am, and I'm sick of it. And so if I meet somebody and I like them, and I'm not even gonna try to wait for them to figure it out.
yeah.
I'm just gonna be like, look, I like you. Let's go out. Let's go do something. And I became that person. And he is funny because when we first got together, he spent like the first month talking me out of dating. He was trying to talk me out of, like, he's like, no, you don't want to date me. It's like, I'm damaged goods, or I'm this, or I'm that. And I'm like, so? I'm like, we're all damaged goods. I was like, so
Like,
I
"You
don't
better bring your
care.
sick ass over here."
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I don't care. And I said, I know what I want, and when we get together, if we spend time together, we're going to figure out whether that's going to be possible or not. But I know what I want, and so we spent time together, and that was it. Pretty much, we were inseparable since. And I think in the course of our
Yeah.
10 plus years together, we've only spent maybe 3 weeks apart total in that whole
Yeah.
10 plus years. But it worked and it stuck. And so now I always tell, like, it was one of the things I tell my clients, like, just ask someone out if you like them. No, I wouldn't, I'm like, why are you putting all that on them? Because that's the way it's supposed to be. Like, that's the way you have it in your head. Your head's screwed up. This is why you're alone and you're single. You don't have nobody. Because you ain't even willing to tell, you're not even willing to express your like of someone to them directly. You're not willing to express that. So of course, you're going to continue to perpetuate the cycle of not being in the know or not being communicative with each other. Of course, you're going to do that. So, I'm gonna dare you to ask someone out before the year's over with.
I'm going to pretend like I didn't hear that.
Yep, and y'all heard it. It's all live. It's all on like candid, Fernie's candid cameras. If if you meet someone or if there's someone that you like, I
Okay.
don't care whoever it is, I don't care who they are, ask them out or ask them on a Zoom date. Hey, you want to go on a Zoom date? And then just make a laugh of it. If they say no, then they say no. Then you accept the rejection and you move forward. But I challenge you. You know how people are coming up with this whole
I had to
forgiveness
like Palo
challenge?
Santo
Oh,
for this.
it's like this forgiveness challenge. Like, I challenge you to ask one person out before the year is over with.
Okay, I'll do it.
Hmm.
I'll do it.
And I
I'll,
want to know who it's gonna be. I want to know when it's gonna happen. I want to know when it's happened. I mean, I'm gonna need to know the details to know that this has actually happened.
see, this is why I don't. This is why I don't tell you nothing. This is why I don't tell you anything
Hmm.
because you be like, yes, and we're gonna talk about it on our little TV show.
Hey, I mean, if you can't talk to me about it, who the hell you can talk about? So no.
I only have myself. That's the only person.
Mm-mm.
I'm like, self, what should we do?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So I'm
Okay,
challenging you to that. I'm gonna challenge you to that's
I'm
your
gonna
challenge.
consider it.
Yeah, that's no. You're not gonna consider it. You're gonna do it because if you don't do it, I'm gonna show up in your dreams like I have the
Oh,
tendency to,
oh my God.
and my
I'm
deeper
tired of people
self,
coming
my
in my
higher
dreams.
self, yeah, my higher self is gonna be like, okay, bitch, we talked about this. Now the woke me don't know this, but the sleeping me does, and we're gonna get this right now. Like
Oh,
that's gonna happen in your dreams. That's what's gonna happen.
oh, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Pushing you outside your comfort zone. It don't matter. It don't have to turn into a lifelong commitment. It could just turn into one night of ever loving fantasy. But whatever it is, ask someone out. Say, hey, I've grown some affection for you. Do you want to do a Zoom date? And let it be. Let it be.
I'm gonna pray about it and see what the Lord say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. Okay, I'll I'll find somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk
Forgive my
about. All
feelings.
right. All right. We'll talk about the forgiveness challenge that is going around. Have you heard about the forgiveness challenge?
No, what are they doing?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, and I'm seeing some videos online. This forgiveness
This
challenge.
Michelle said, try it.
Try it. Michelle. Yeah. Yeah. The forgiveness challenge, basically, we've gone through a really rough year. There's a lot of divisiveness. People are just turning their backs on each other. Family members cut people out, etc. And the forgiveness challenge has basically been brought forward. It's supposedly based on A Course in Miracles,
Oh,
which we're reading.
probably haven't got there yet because
Right.
we've been
No,
on
we ain't got
Wednesday
there.
before.
Right. Right. We're still on like the first, two bits. But the forgiveness challenge is about essentially acknowledging and accepting that things are the way they need to be, acknowledging that people are who they need to be, and then forgiving them, releasing yourself from the energy of hatred or anger or whatever.
Mhm.
That's what this whole forgiveness challenge. And this is something that, in some ways, I get it. I understand the point. I understand what people are trying to do. I understand that people are trying to help each other recover from this year and to move forward in some sort of like loving brotherhood or sisterhood. But I feel the same way Crystal Bella Love feels with the LOL because that's the way she like she was like she like there she is she's like I have my opinion about that,
Mm.
but I want you to tell me what you think about that whole forgiveness challenge. If I said, "Hey, girl, I know this past year has been a mess, you know, but I want you to work on forgiving everything and everybody, so that you can move forward in the light and love of the universe and of God." You know, how do you feel about someone just like because it's part of the spirituality, it's part of the thing, with the thing of the ascension thing, so forgiveness.
Well, I think remember I told you a while back I already did this. And like I've been hurt a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have been abused a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like regularly. And I think a lot of people don't want to forgive because they feel like they want the other person that hurt them to
Mm-hmm.
hurt. And I totally get that. But when I look at it in terms of carrying around lack, that's just adding to it because it's creating a bitterness in you to hold on to all that. Like I had people from like 3rd grade that I was like, "Yeah, remember how you messed over me?" Like I needed to let that go. So I definitely think that like first of all, you already know I'm dealing with
Mm-hmm.
the gnat issue right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Um but I definitely think that some people you could absolutely forgive. I mean, it depends on what you've been hurt by, because some stuff is not going to be as easy to let go of. Like if your uncle molested you and you had to go to Thanksgiving and try to have Thanksgiving and he was there smiling, like that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
more difficult to let go of. So when we're telling people, you need to practice forgiveness, we also need to be cognizant of what they went through because we don't know everything. And people
Mm-hmm.
are not going to share all of that either. But I do think there is something to be said for releasing that because it does create space for you to draw in the love of God, the creator, the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what you draw from when you are going to manifest or you are just moving through your life. And like I said, I mean, I did that earlier this year and a couple times because after I did it the first time, I was like, you know what? I'm still thinking about that 3rd grade thing. And I'll tell y'all what happened too if if we have
Mm-hmm.
some time here.
Mm-hmm. Do it.
So that was a really hard year for me. And I even went to the pattern to I have a pink Care Bear to support my back pain.
Aw.
But it was a really hard year for me. And I went to the pattern and it was like, you are supposed to learn to love yourself. And I was like, I was 8 and I'm black and we do not get taught that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like at which point was I supposed to make that
Mm-hmm.
understanding at 8 years old? So, that year I ended up wearing a neck brace and the spelling bee because I had a neck I don't know even know what it was. It just I woke up one morning and I was like, "I can't move my neck." And my mom
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh, no." So I had to wear a neck brace and spelling bee, and the word I got out on was bus stop. That is 2 words. Let's just make that
Mm-hmm.
very clear. That is 2 words. So, okay. But my class was tough too because the teacher was kind of racist and she was really always on my ass. So I was like, "Okay, I'm just a terrible person. I know that must be it." I must be terrible. Every time I try to tell her that somebody has kicked me or whatever the situation is, I get in trouble and I have to go to the office. So I just must be terrible and toxic. So we had these pillows, just like this Care Bear that we had in our classroom. And I would just like to say this is beautiful synchronicity that I'm sharing this and I'm also using a pillow. And we came back from the playground and this boy in my class had taken the pillow that I was using. And I was like, "Oh, what happened to the pillow that I had?" And this other kid was like, "Oh, Greg took it." And I was like, "Oh, he did? Okay." So I was like, "Greg, uh, please give it back to me. I've been using it." And he was like, "No." And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, um, "I'm gonna ask you again nicely to please give it back to me. Okay?" And he was like, "No, I'm not giving it back." So I just politely went over and kicked him in the stomach, took the pillow, and sat back down in my chair.
Right. Right.
Because I'm like, I had already told you that you need to give me my shit back and you're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just take care of this real quick. So,
Mm-hmm.
of course, the teacher came in, and the same guy that told me who took the pillow, which keyed me up to have this altercation,
Mm-hmm.
told the teacher that I kicked the kid that was crying. And I was like, see,
Messy.
this is what I'm talking about. Right. So I was about 25 years old, and I was at this bar nearby, and I saw him, and I said, you remember when you, and he was like, what? You still on this? And I was like, hell yeah.
Oh
So
God.
So recently, I just forgave him and the teacher and the other boy because I was holding on to that, you
Yeah.
know? So I think it just depends really on what it is.
Mm.
And you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for yourself because in order for you to be at your best, highest vibration, there are going to be things that you have to release so that you can fly a little bit. That's really
Right.
just the way I see it.
Right. When I look at the idea of forgiveness, I think people do not truly understand what forgiveness means and what it represents and what it has, how it affects you as a person on the, into the deepest of your core. There are things that have happened in my life that because they happened and because I held on to them for as long as I did, they transformed and they changed my personality. They changed my nature. And I got to a certain point. Here's an example of this. When I, left the relationship with my ex, he was just one of several instances in my life where I had felt rejected by males, or I felt unloved or unworthy, like I was trash or I was nothing. And it just made me so angry and resentful, and just it built up all of this energy within me.
Right.
And I didn't just forgive him because I was like, to hell with that. Like, instead of saying, well, I forgive you, and yeah, I forgive you, I release you from this. No, I said, screw this. I'm gonna show you motherfuckers what y'all all think about me, because y'all all, my stepfather, my father, my ex, y'all all the bullies at school, y'all all treated me this way. Y'all all put me through hell and back, and y'all all underestimated my potential. Because of this, let me show you what I can do. And because of that anger and because of that energy within me, it forced me and pushed me outside of my comfort zones, and it forced me to reinvent myself in a completely different way. I would say that I would not be doing what I do today had I not gone through that experience and held on to that. Because me trying to build myself up and to put myself out there and to say, I'm going to put myself on camera, I'm going to do readings for people live, I'm going to do this, I'm going to open myself to criticism, but I'm going to show everybody what I can do. Like, all of that intention and energy was behind that resentment and that anger. Had I forgiven, I probably wouldn't have moved as quickly or achieved some of the things that I've been able to achieve from those
Right.
emotions. And so I would have done myself a huge disservice had I just released that and not allowed it to transform me. And I think that in our lives, we go through these experiences, all of us, we go through experiences. Some of them are heartbreaking, some of them are painful, some of them are wonderful, but all of the experiences serve us, and they create and they transform us and they affect us. There are some things that we hold on to that, yes, they affect us in ways that actually do not help us to evolve or to grow or to expand. They cause us to contract and to become smaller versions of ourselves. 100% we should work on forgiving and releasing ourselves from that. But sometimes when you're going from absolute despair to love and joy, you can't make that jump over from this low point to this high point. You have to work through the emotional scale. And the next level above despair is anger and rage. And then then you go up and there's acceptance, and then you go up and then there's other emotions. And so for me, the anger, the rage that I held on to was a step up from despair. And so I
Mhm.
used it to my purpose. I used it to my advantage. Some of the things that we go through, we can use. We can use all of that emotional fuel and propel ourselves towards something. Jesus used his anger when he went to that marketplace in front of the
Market.
church and beat the hell out of everybody. What the hell y'all are doing here? Turning people's tables over. You know, he didn't forgive. I'm gonna forgive y'all. I'm gonna forgive the man who went out and preached forgiveness. I'm gonna forgive y'all for selling in front of the church and making money for, you know, the government. No, he's like, screw y'all. Y'all need to get the hell out of here. What the hell is wrong with y'all? He held those people accountable, and he reacted to show how unjustified that was. Buddha did the same thing when the monks threw that, you know, when they threw one of their fellow monks out on the street because he was sick and couldn't do nothing to lift a finger to help them with their chores. You know, Buddha didn't say, "Oh, I forgive y'all," and you know, no, and compassion for all of y'all monks. No, he like called all of them bastards out and said, "The hell y'all are doing? We're supposed to be practicing compassion. This is not an example of compassion, people. So you take this man, you make yourselves responsible for him, and you show me what true compassion looks like." Like he held them accountable, and he brought them to the position of justifying why he was so upset or so angry with that. So, as people in this 2020 year, a lot of us have had different experiences, and it is easy for a white man who is in a cushy apartment who doesn't have to rely on the government or on all these other things for income. Right. It's easy for a white man who's in a nice apartment to get on camera and says, "Hey everybody, we got to learn to forgive everybody. We got to learn to forgive each other." No, because you are not the culmination of everything that has happened this year. You were not directly impacted by some of the things that some of us were. You know, at the same time, it's easy for someone who just is tired of politics, tired of all the stuff that has gone out there, to say, you know, we just need to forgive and move on. This is not what this is about, y'all. This is not about forgetting and moving forward. This is about acknowledging the issue, holding those accountable who are in positions to change things so that we no longer need to repeat these issues, and moving forward. I can forgive and release the anger I hold towards others. I'm not going to release them from the obligations that they have with the rest of society, with us as people. Right. So forgiving doesn't mean letting something go and not holding people accountable. Forgiving just means right. I'm no longer going to be in this ritual of anger and hatred towards you. Now that we are at this point, this is what you are responsible for. You need to be accountable to this. Just as we all have things that we need to be accountable this year. And so the idea of people coming and saying we need to forgive. No. We need to hold ourselves accountable first and actually fulfill the responsibilities we individually have to ourselves, to each other, and then hold those who are in the positions of most power and effect, hold those individuals accountable to the rest of us, because they are here to serve us. That is the job that they're signed up for. We are paying for their job. So they are accountable to us, all of us. So we need to hold people accountable, and then we can move forward. But we don't forgive and move forward and ignore and forget, because that achieves nothing. Could you imagine if Hitler was like, "Hey everybody, we finally caught Hitler. Let's go ahead and forgive him. I know he killed a few million people and he gassed a bunch of people. Yeah, it's okay though, because we need to achieve ascension. Let us forgive and move past that." And what I would say to that is, are you fucking full of shit? Like, who the hell do you think you are to tell these people how they should react to this situation? You need to be part of the solution, not part of ignoring the problem.
So let's back up real quick, because I feel like this forgiveness challenge is forgive the government and forgive the establishment for the bullshit that they put us through.
Forgive people who are on the opposite side of like politics. Yeah, if I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican, I'm gonna forgive you. This and that. Like, it comes down to all of that. Which I'm not a Democrat. I don't go by any particular party.
I don't watch TV, and I'm on social media to post, and I see a couple things, and then I get off. I will say this about forgiving those who are trespassing against us in this place. Mm-hmm. No. Most particularly our government, because they are intentionally not giving us this stimulus check, which I continue to have dreams about unnecessarily, because I don't even want it, but I know other people are like, man,
people can use it.
Yeah. But there are people who really do want it.
Yeah.
And they want it, and they're like, we need it right now. Yeah. And they're not giving it to us. And they're doing it on purpose. And my thing is, I really feel like these people are intentionally trying to reduce us to a state of lack, because we're like, I don't have. And once you get to the bottom of that, what are you going to do? You're angry, you're frustrated, and you are going to start hurting others.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we can't even really talk about forgiveness. First of all, what we need to be doing, I don't care what side you're on, is banding together to tell them they got us fucked up.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what side we're on. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like, we
Right.
are the citizens, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, whatever your party is. These people have designed this government like they are our daddy.
Yeah.
And here we are without our parent because they don't want to care for us because we're not following rules. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You're still in charge. You have this society designed
Mm-hmm.
so that we have to come to you for everything. And here you are neglecting your children because we're not behaving correctly. I don't agree with that. And
Yeah.
no, I will not. No, I will not extend forgiveness, and I will talk shit every time I can
Mm-hmm.
because they've been doing this to people since the very beginning when they started this
Mm-hmm.
government and this country. And I was saying today something about it's like every time they show up somewhere to be conquistador or whatever, they
Mm-hmm.
just break everything. We just had Thanksgiving. All I could think about was how they stole these people's property
Mm-hmm.
and created this bullshit on top of it.
Mm-hmm. And you know they
Because
changed that. They changed that in Canada. You know, and because Ed and I were talking about this, and I'm like, they're never going to. You know, we're never going to change Thanksgiving into something else. But you can rebrand, and that's what you do. You rebrand.
mhm,
If you can't get rid of it, you rebrand. Which I don't want to get rid of Thanksgiving. I love the whole process of
right.
Thanksgiving, and have actually
Just
giving
call it
thanks for
Family Day
things
or
and just be
something.
appreciative. Yeah, but in Canada, they I believe if people are here on Canada, they rebranded and they no longer think of it as like Thanksgiving, like Pilgrims arrive or whatever. To them,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is about the harvest, and it is that time of the year
Mhm.
where the harvest is available, and we are reaping the benefits of all the hard work we did for the whole year. Not that everybody's a farmer,
Yeah.
but that's the idea of it. And then of course there's this Thanksgiving, and I think there's a lot of things that we can rebrand because what we've been taught in schools is not accurate to what actually happened. And it's inaccurate on both sides because we talk about the settlers and the people who arrived here. They were coming here to escape persecution, but you don't show up in somebody else's house and say, "Hey, y'all, I'm a victim, so I'm entitled to what you have." You're the one that's evil because you're standing in my way because I have the righteousness of God behind me. You
Yeah.
don't do that. So that was their mistake, and in many instances they did pay the price because that created a lot of wars between them and the natives in the country.
Mhm.
But then you also, I mean, it's not like all of the natives were like these like good going people were like, hey, we're here
Of
for
course
peace and
not.
love. No, they were like rivals and clans and wars. So, and because it's humans, these are humans having human experiences.
I mean, that's the thing though. They had their own lifestyle
Yeah,
that they were living
yeah,
before
yeah,
they showed up to say, okay, well, now you'll do it like this, and you will talk to our Jesus, and you will participate in this only. And if you don't, you will be stricken from the land that you have tilled for all of these many thousands of years. Like, who
right,
does that in every place they show up at?
yeah,
In every continent that you arrive to, you're like,
right,
oh no, this is wrong.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, but that's the issue with that is I'm going to live, but I'm not going to let you live the way that
yeah.
you choose to live. That's the issue. It's the issue over and over and over again. I mean, happened with the Germans, happened with most of the wars. Either I want your resources, I want control of your territory, or I don't agree with the way you choose to live, so I won't let you live, but I want the entitlement of being able to live the way I want to. It's almost like what just happened with the court. The majority was with churches and places of worship, that the government has no right to tell a church that they can't have this many people and that they blah 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 blah. And yet the Pope stood up and was like, "Y'all are wrong for that." It's the Pope who is, and this was the Catholic. I wonder what's her face on the new Supreme Court. I wonder
Amy
what
girl.
because she is like a devout Catholic, and people are always like, "Well, the Pope's not Catholic." I'm like, he is the head of the whole Catholic organ. It's like saying, well, Jesus ain't really a Christian. It literally is like the head of the. They had to go through all this drama just to get to that position. So I can
Okay.
assure you, he
Just because
knows
y'all not
what he's
acting
talking
like it
about as a
doesn't
Catholic.
mean
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But I wonder. For me, that was just a little piece of like, I wonder what she's thinking because here she is. She voted against this, or she voted for this religious protections, and that's a real slippery slope because once you start to elevate, a religion above the common welfare of people, you empower religious organizations to basically play God in certain instances, And
Mhm.
so I wonder what she was thinking when the Pope came out and was like, "Y'all are wrong for that." Ooh, girl, the head of the organization that you hold in the highest virtue, and then the reason why you made this decision just said you wrong for that. Like, I wonder what she must be thinking. But it's that's what it comes down to. I release myself from experiences and scenarios and situations that hold lower energy for me that serves no purpose. So if I had like a client, someone go and put a bad review, yeah, I'm probably going to feel about it about a certain. I'm going to feel a certain way about it for the first day or so, but then I release it because I'm like, you know what, it's okay, it's all right because this person is living their truth and they haven't damaged me, they haven't hurt me. They may think they did, but in fact, by me leaving that bad review up there, they've just empowered me because I'm showing authenticity. Like, this is who I am. This is what people say about me. Whether you like it or take it, doesn't matter. This is what it is. But when it comes
Mhm.
to situations like with the government or with like our loved ones, the people in our lives who have positions of authority or power, like, you're accountable to something, just like I'm accountable to myself and to things. And
Mhm.
I have to meet my obligations and I have to fulfill those obligations, and I am accountable to those things. Y'all are accountable to us, and you're going to be accountable to us whether you choose to or not. So for those people coming around, we should forgive everybody. I'm like, no, because a whole host of people contributed to this movement of hatred and bigotry. A bunch of people
Mhm.
contributed to that. Whether they choose to acknowledge their part in it or not, it doesn't matter. A whole bunch of people contributed to that. Just like a whole bunch of people, empowered Hitler. A whole bunch of people empowered Stalin. A whole bunch of people empowered, Fidel Castro. So a bunch of people empowered these individuals and this movement to operate and to function the way that it has. So just because those people are out, or just because something's changed at the top, doesn't mean that the people who empowered them don't have, that there isn't a reckoning that has to happen. Not just for us who have been the other side of that, but for themselves, because I don't really think that those individuals know what they've done fully. It is that the proverb, like, what is the word? God, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. And I really think that. I really think that it's ignorance. People do not realize what they've done because they believe something else, or they've only been tunnel vision about things. And so there is a level of responsibility that every single person on this planet and every single person in this country, ourselves
Yeah.
included, there's responsibilities that we have, and we're obligated to meet those responsibilities and those obligations. It's not about wiping it away, forgiving, and moving forward. It's about, okay, y'all, this has been the issue. This is what happened because of the issue. What do we need to do to make this better? And those of you who contributed or who are in positions of power, what specifically do you need to do to make this better so that we're not back here again? I love my family. I love people who I have very opposite views from, but I'm not going to stop holding people accountable to their own actions and behaviors.
Right.
And if that means me no longer investing in a friendship or no longer investing in certain relationships because the the outcome is losing connection with someone that represents something different. I represent certain
Yeah.
things in my life. So if I'm not around you as often, or if I'm not communicating, that's the consequence. You're gonna disconnect from the people that you essentially are choosing. You chose to go against in brotherhood and sisterhood and all of that. So no, there are consequences to actions. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna like hate on people and go after people. No, because it's not about that. But I'm gonna damn well gonna hold people accountable, and I'm gonna point out, yeah, okay, that's great, but this is what you need to work on, because this is what you
Right.
did, and that's not acceptable. It's not okay, no matter how you want to think about it. So you need to work on that.
They are continuing to operate incorrectly. Like every time somebody on the internet acts like a racist, it's because they are being ignited by the fire that has lit
Mm-hmm.
in the capital of this country, and
Mm-hmm.
it is being fueled by a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
So they need to get it together because everybody down here in the city, I'm just calling the country the city because it's like, we're all down
Mm-hmm.
here. They are just moving from what they're seeing
Mm-hmm.
their daddy do. They need to do right
Yeah.
because it's gonna get ugly if they don't fix it. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
why are you acting like this? It's like you are intent. That's why I say I feel like it's intentional on some level because how can you be this disconnected from what is needed
Mm-hmm.
among the citizens in the country
Mm-hmm.
that you supposedly run?
Because it's not about the greater good, it's about the individual reward and the opportunity to feel empowered in a mindset or in a habitual nature that before has always had this stigma to it. So it's almost like, someone, most people have that uncle or have that relative or that friend, and they're never politically correct. They never say things the way that they're supposed they should say things,
Right.
and that person has probably been chastised over and over and over again. And here comes someone that rises up and expresses themselves in the exact same way, and they achieve these levels of power, and they can achieve all these other things that this person has achieved. And they're like, "Oh my God, I see myself in this person. It's okay. I'm okay. I'm not broken. I'm not wrong. It's okay for me to be this way." And what I say to those people is, eh, you
You're
might want
wrong,
to,
and you
you're
should.
wrong. Yeah, you're wrong. You're wrong not in who you are authentically. You're wrong in becoming aware that something is not what it should be to help us all achieve, because we're on this planet together. There's nothing we can do to change
Yeah.
that. No one's getting off
Right.
this planet. SpaceX ain't going to Mars yet. So we're all here. And oh, there's another
Oh
one.
my
There's another
god, what
one.
happened? And this is like
There's
this one
another
is like
person.
a magician. This isn't
Oh
even
look,
a
look. Yeah, yeah.
Babalawo.
Oh girl.
Oh
It's a
god.
horror lagold. You was a mess.
My
You are
spirit
a
is
disgrace.
unsettled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me go. Let me go
So
over here and report it.
yeah. So, it comes down to these individuals who suddenly feel empowered, like they can do this, they continue to do it because they thought they were wrong, but then there's examples of that they can still be great and continue to do those things. And it's not that the person is evil or the person is the devil. It's that the person learned how to exist in this world only considering the color of their skin, only considering
Yeah.
things that come from their culture, only considering certain things. And most of us have. I mean, I came from a Hispanic background, so there's certain things I'm going to relate to. But I'm not going to hold that above what would actually affect and benefit all of us, which is we all
Right.
deserve love. We all deserve care. We all deserve respect. We all deserve dignity. We all deserve healthcare. We all deserve food. We all deserve shelter. We all deserve a position and a voice that is heard. And that is just not the way it is. And that is something that we should all be working towards. And no one can disagree with that. But when people are trying to get theirs, sometimes they trying to achieve that end up overlooking the injustices and the incorrectness of their behavior,
Mm.
and they end up doing it. They end up making everyone rich, but they kill half the population in the process. So it's like, okay, well, you did what you said you wanted to do. You wanted to give everybody this, but you also killed half the people on the planet. So did you really do this righteously, or did you do this from a place of destruction, from a place of anger and fear and hatred?
The idea that they do anything righteously is laughable at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Like, because they don't even understand it.
yeah,
It's like what's righteous to them is just what's white.
yeah,
And that's how they've been raised, and that's what their mindset is
yeah,
you guys are being ridiculous because you don't love this country. How could you not?
yeah,
How could you have a problem with the way this country operates.
Yeah.
How could you have issue with it? And it's like, I have been living here and I see the effects of it on my community. And honestly, I see how it has affected my family in, the things that they went through in terms of racism or how they've tried to operate to be on the level of white people.
Mm,
It's like all of these things and they still don't accept you.
mm,
All of these things and they still don't care how much money you have, you still are Black.
mm,
So it's like we're tearing apart our own community to fit in and to be accepted and to try to rise to the level at which they will, treat us with respect. But it doesn't matter how much money you have, you still are the same, you know,
yeah.
to them.
Yeah. It's something that is not going to change anytime soon,
Mhm.
but I believe that we will come to a day where we are really, even though we will still have our differences, because this
Yeah.
world will always be this world, but we will still have our differences, but the things that practically we all can give ourselves now, the things that we all suffer from are the things that we can give ourselves,
Mhm.
and we don't, and we continue to
Yeah.
perpetuate the discord and the disharmony and the inequality. And there
Mhm.
are a lot of unjustifiable reasons for that. And I think once we start to realize that to really heal, we have to work and cooperate and come together in the most effective way possible. Because coming together, singing kumbaya, and then wanting to kill each other after the fire's been put out, that's not really doing anything. So,
Right.
and that's what people want to do. They want to forgive and they want to forget and they want to move forward. I'm like, yeah, that's great, but that's not going to effectively change anything. And well, because you're identifying with victimhood and victims, and if you identify with victimhood, you will experience victimhood. You'll experience being a victim. And I'm like, okay, those of you making these videos, obviously, because some of these people are like, if you come from that mindset, your reality is going to show you that this is what it is. And I'm like, okay, so those of you telling me that this reality is because I am choosing to live and experience victimhood, why are y'all even acknowledging this in conversation and in a video? Because by acknowledging that this needs to be, by you coming up with the forgiveness challenge and trying to tell people they need to learn to forgive each other, you've immediately put yourself in a superiority complex position, and you're not empathizing with the pain and the suffering that people have endured. And it's like, we're all here together. You're not going to be able to stop yourself from having a human experience no matter how hard you try. So this whole
Right.
bullshit about don't think of being a victim, think of like all of the love and the great, and I'm like, yeah, that has a place, that has its place in a human life. But coming to us and saying, hey, don't connect with being human, don't relate to
Yeah.
being human, don't acknowledge the suffering of humans, because if you do that, reality is going to show you that. I'm like, okay,
I think
speaking
that's
on,
ridiculous.
I can't, I'm like, just the fact that y'all have to talk about this has already gone against what y'all just told us, which is you're
Right.
acknowledging that this exists. So you can't go against it either. You can't fight against this either, because you're having to acknowledge this. So instead of just trying to ignore or avoid, see what is and try to make it better. Try to do something
Right.
that you can to make it better. Forgiving and ignoring it isn't it. Acknowledging
Right.
and working towards a righteous action to resolve, that's the right. And then forgiveness can come in naturally. Forgiveness comes in naturally. You shouldn't have to work to forgive people. Forgiveness comes
Right.
in naturally when you actually are in a place of peace with some things in your life, and then forgiveness just falls in. It's like, I don't even have to work on forgiving this person, I just forgive them. And that's been most of what I've experienced when I've tried really hard to forgive people or to let something go. It actually makes it
Mhm.
bigger and it makes it worse. And so instead, I'm like, you know
Right.
what, let me work on the thing that person brought up within me. Let me work on the issue that's there, and let me improve that. Let me make that better. Let me hold people accountable. And when that has happened, forgiveness just happens naturally. It's a byproduct of righteous
Right. Eventually.
action or righteous
Mhm.
intent. It's a
Yeah.
byproduct.
I totally agree. And I think there's something to be said for, not being a victim because I mean, that's something that I really believe is like, especially in the Black community, if we could see ourselves less as victims, then we would feel better. But even in releasing yourself from victimhood, all you're doing there is looking at what strengths you got from the experience that
Yeah.
made you feel victimized so that
Mm-hmm.
you can then use them as power to move
Mm-hmm.
through the pain of being a victim. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you forget that the person hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't I know my video is messing up now, y'all.
No, you're
But
fine. You're good.
you don't forget that the person hurt you just
Oh.
because you then find the power in the pain. You don't forget that they did something to you. So even in saying, well, stop being a victim, they still are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They're still wrong. Even if you release yourself from victimhood, they're still wrong in it. And
Mm-hmm.
they're going to have to atone for their wrongdoing. So I'm such a fan of talking shit to these people who are continuing to be wrong. Like, and I have lost so many friends in growing up in Tomball and having a slew of white friends. I've just lost so much respect for people that I respected growing up. I don't know why. I guess because I didn't know that they were racist, even though I knew they were racist. It's just like, I have lost it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you are really going to feel it at some point, buddy,
Well, I think a part of
because
that
what
is
you're doing.
also, I think a part of it, because I wouldn't say that everybody that aligned themselves with certain, movements was coming from a place of racism. I don't agree with that, but you are still supporting a movement that is basically coming from a place of racism. So you're
Yeah.
contributing to it. And so for you, race is an issue that isn't that important, but it is because that's one level. That's like a first layer. Like when you see someone, you can obviously make out the differences in them versus you because there's differences there. And so racism is a surface level issue. When you go deeper than that, there are other differences that start to show up as well that are much deeper and much more finely rooted. And so what I think has happened is those people who were unable to either empathize or sympathize or chose not to when they were encountering a situation in the last year that was obviously unjustifiable, obviously inhumane, obviously coming from a place of hatred or unmitigated control or power. When you choose to support that, even though internally you know that there are certain things about it that are wrong, then at that point you have chosen to align yourself with a very specific intent that is probably selfish.
Mhm.
Because if you acknowledge and accept an injustice on a surface level, then at the core of your being, is there really love? Is there really compassion? Is there really
Right.
empathy for the fellow human? Is there really a sense of community and connection? Because if it takes just the color of someone's skin or the sound of someone's voice or the belief someone holds that is justifiable, if you hold that as a reason of contempt, then you choose to take anything at a surface level to take yourself to the darkest parts of your humanity. And you express that
Exactly.
darkest part of your humanity and you never find yourselves accountable to that. And this is what I talk about when I say accountability, because if you allowed yourself to become the darkest version of yourself based on a surface level reaction, are you really the loving being that you claim to be or that you try to be? Is it so deeply rooted, or is it something that is just a falsehood? And I think this year has taught me a lot about myself, because there were certain times where I did react to people. I did put people on blast. But I don't feel, and if I ever do this, any of y'all call me out on it, but I don't feel that I went and tried to disgrace or tear someone down into nothing. I don't think I tried to take someone's power away or to turn them into nothing. I just simply reflected back to them exactly what they were reflecting to
What you
me
gave.
in a way that is obviously pointing out what they were trying to achieve and coming from this place of not having justification for it. Yeah, it came across as a smart ass way of making people feel stupid and looking at themselves, but they are the ones that are coming from that place. And so you, and as I've said to people, you come from me, you're going to get it. And I gave it to people on a few times, but I don't feel that I expressed this sense of hatred where I wanted to destroy someone completely. I don't feel like I did that. Now I did remove people from my life and I did push people away and said, if this is your position, if this is where you're coming from, you have no right following me or even being part of my circle because you're not even aligned with the philosophies or the spiritual beliefs that I hold so dear and that I try so hard to push into the world. You're not coming from that place. So why are you even in my circle? Why are you in my orbit? You know?
He's a whole planet. So just figure it the fuck out.
Right. So I mean, but that's how I felt, and I'm okay with that because I'm like, look, if I'm gonna do anything good for people, I want the people who I'm doing good for to represent the goodness as well because they're gonna go on and create goodness for others also. I don't need people to be
Yeah.
fakes and frauds to act one way, and then when they don't get their way or something doesn't show up the way they want it to, come for it and try to destroy that thing that is against them in their minds. No, that's not
Yeah.
what I'm here for.
Well, I feel like you used to be somebody different, just like I'm talking about being somebody different. I mean, it's like you had to evolve as well, and you're
Mm,
coming more into like your activism voice. That's like, no, this is wrong.
yeah.
And a lot of people are struggling to accept that because they're used to you just being like, hello, guys, we're going to talk about spirits. And you're
Mm,
like, no, we absolutely need to talk about what's real here and
yeah.
what's happening because even though we're fighting a spiritual war, we still have this level, which is racism and political injustice that we have to fight, and
Mm,
how we're treating each other as humans. That is terrible. And if you don't speak up on it, then something is wrong with you. So,
mm,
you not speaking up on it would be more of a question to me than you speaking about it.
mm,
Like, I don't talk a lot all the time about this, but it's a huge issue. And I'm always watching because I'm waiting for the thing that's going to take me to the street because
mm.
I'm getting a megaphone and a big radio,
Yeah.
because,
Union!
yes,
Union!
because I feel like people are not using love
Yeah.
and they're using the lack and the hatred in them to operate
Mm,
in this world. Just like you said, if you go to the darkest place in you based on something on a human level, then first of all, you're doing it wrong, but also you need some work. And
mm.
not to say that I'm the most right person because I
None of
barely
us
got
are.
here.
None of us are.
Right.
Yeah, even Jesus and
Right.
the Buddha were not
Right.
100%. You can't be here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because we are human. Like this body is going to render you imperfect.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Like you having it means that even before you decided, okay, I think I'm going to try to be a righteous individual and I'm
Mm,
going to try to do these things that are full of love and I'm trying to be a light beam and all this shit. Well, first that before any of that happened, you probably went through a bunch of crap that gave you a bunch of wounds that you, just like you were saying earlier,
mm,
before you even get to the light beam portion of your life, you're like, I'm about to hit somebody because people keep coming by me and they keep hurting me. I'm going to hit everybody. Like, because I know I was like that. I
mm,
was like, you know what? Before I can get hurt again, I'm just going to project anger. Don't come to me. And a lot of people are doing that, but they need to stop doing it from a racist viewpoint because a lot of people have guns.
mhm,
So we're going to be out here shooting each other because of
mm,
racism. Oh my God, we all still have a soul. Like,
mhm,
what color is it?
mhm. You talk about the spiritual. You said spiritual warfare. Like when you say that,
Yeah.
what are you talking about, or what? Because people might say spiritual. What's she talking about? Spiritual warfare. Like what does that mean? What is that to you?
Okay. Well, I really feel like we're fighting a deep spiritual war in which it's like it's light versus dark on some level, like
Mm,
because if you look at the way they operate, they're operating from a place that is not love. So
Mm.
it's like love versus hate. And to me, if I look at it on a spiritual level, that is light versus dark. So it's like it's really going much deeper than just she said you got 2 views,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's much deeper than just we're fighting against racism because I went and read that book of Enoch where they talk about the war against oppression in which I don't think the archangels are coming, but like the archangels fought this
We're
war
here.
against oppression.
We're
Right.
here.
We're there.
We are
So
the
that's what I
angels.
mean.
We are the angels. We are the light beings. We are the bringers of truth and awareness of that which has been produced for us by us, so that we may see ourselves righteously
FUBU.
within the spectrum of reality of love and of separation. So we are here,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I asked Aja this last week because I was curious about this.
You
I'm like,
did.
what is this light and dark crap? Like, what is this like war against the good versus the bad thing? Because this has been going on for generations, and I don't understand when the shit is going. Like, I had a cousin post on Facebook like I'm a Christ follower and Jesus follower, and we are being judged, and we may not see the rapture in our lifetime, but it's coming, and Jesus is going to make us. And I'm just like, girl, what are you achieving with this post? Because you've said nothing that has contributed to any kind of positive
Right.
growth or expansion. It's like you've not talked me into choosing righteousness. You've talked me into I've just been judged, and I've just been critiqued, and I've just been told that I'm not worthy and that I'm going to be punished. Like, why would you just put that out? How is that making our lives, how is that making anything better on
Right.
this, on this realm? I asked Aja about this, and this is what Aja said. We have always been source being. We have been all things simultaneously. In order to understand ourselves, we have broken ourselves up into perspectives, into pieces, and we've allowed ourselves to experience and expand from those pieces. We we decided and chose to establish a platform, a stage for this experience. That which is the physical world is this experience, is this platform. It is the place we all come to experience and express ourselves in any potentiality that can be created by Source in thought form. We come to this physical realm. We have all agreed that this is the playground we will play in, that we will have our experiences here. As you've begun to play in this platform within this stage, as you've begun to play, you've begun to create stories that represent a reality that has never existed beyond the deepest recesses of human suffering. You've created a reality, and you've fed each other stories that have built upon stories that have been produced from stories that come from the deepest forms of pain. In this, you have created a sub reality within the grand reality. You have created an alternate reality that still exists within the framework of reality. So many have decided to support, to assist, to validate this sub reality that there is now a conflict. There is a program that is in conflict with itself. The great reality that we all decided on the deepest soul level, and the sub reality that the human mind has conceptually produced, that is being supported by the events of this year. There is a fight happening between the sub reality and the grand reality. The grand reality will always hold purely because it has been agreed to by Source, we all being Source. The sub reality has been agreed to by suffering and will be supported in suffering. Once suffering begins to be resolved incrementally by each individual that has chosen from a human place to support that, then the sub reality will begin to dissolve and diminish and will begin to resolve itself back into the grander reality. So it's the sub reality, this mindset, this place of reality that people are holding true, people,
Mhm.
limited
Yeah.
perspectives against the grand reality, which is supported by the souls of all those who
Yeah.
are here. So there's a fight happening between the two. The grander reality will always win out because it always has. The sub
Yeah.
reality at some point will slam against the delusion of itself within the grander
Yeah.
delusion that we've all bought into. But the sub reality will hit its delusionary reality self, and at some point, it's going to be just, there's no way to support it or to continue to sustain it. It just is not real. But it's going to
Yeah.
take a lot of people a long time to work through that. It's not going to be all at once.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
rapture or this, the end is coming. 2020 is the signifier or the catalyst for this collision that has happened. And now we have a whole host of people who are in suffering trying to hold their reality as if it is the only reality, butting it up
Yeah.
against the grander reality that is unchangeable and will always exist. So it's a
Mhm.
clash of, and when you look at the realities, it doesn't really matter because they are simply frequencies and vibrations and variations of light and darkness. Light being the
Yeah.
pureness of wholeness of self and of awareness of self. The darkness being the delusion that there is no self, the delusion that we are separate. Which it is a delusion that we created to give us the experience of separation to come to this
Mhm.
point of awareness and experience. So there's all this going on here. So the darkness will always exist. The light will always exist because we've chosen for it to exist for the purpose of our expansion and our expression into beingness. But the sub reality, which is one of several sub realities,
Mhm.
is banging the wall because it's not going to
Yeah.
be able to be supported. At some point, the cracks will start to happen because it cannot expand beyond the larger reality. It's going to just implode on itself. And that's what's disheartening is we're seeing that happening right now. We're seeing people fall into this internal conflict and they have to
Yeah.
make a choice. Are they going to give themselves to the lightness that they're being summoned by to
Mhm.
expand outside of that, to go outside of that, to move
Right.
outside of that sub-reality? Or are they going to collapse in with the sub-reality and self-destruct? And if it
And jump
becomes
off of a
that,
roof.
exactly, and jump off a roof or to take as many people as they can with them. And so
Yeah.
that's the lightness and the darkness that's happening now. And I won't say, oh,
Yeah.
well, all of the people who are on the right are in that sub reality. All of the people who are on the
Mm-mm.
left are in. No, this is not even about right or
No,
left. This is about
it's really not.
people and the individual. It comes down to that individual.
It's really not about even which political party or what color or any of that. It's really about what's in you.
Mm,
Because honestly, I see it like, those negative thoughts that you have, that is what can take you. You know what I mean? Like if you're not able to talk yourself out of that, you will absolutely be ready to kill a bunch of people, kill yourself or your family. And a lot of people are not going to be able to cope with what they're feeling based on what's happening outside of us. Because it's going to be like, okay, well, our reality that we're seeing is crumbling. Oh my God, I can't handle it. Now I'm either going to, like you said,
mhm,
fall inward, or I'm going to reach outward, raise my vibration, and connect with something higher than me to realize that number one, I guess I'm praying, but you know what I'm saying. But
mhm,
there's something more than this. There's something more than this, what we see, because we're really, this is not real.
mhm,
Like there's so much more than this. And if we can make it through whatever we're about to go through, gosh, we're gonna reach the Mecca.
mhm,
You know what I mean? It's gonna be
mhm.
so beautiful, like, I can't wait to not go to work.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I do think that we can make this world a better place, and
Yeah.
it's within reasonable control and power for us now to be able to make this world a if someone doesn't have to worry about their medicine or their medical care, about their home,
Right.
about their food, and if they can just live peacefully amongst others and live in the way that they choose to, that in itself is a recipe for a lot of good things to come to humanity. That right there is a representation of just a basic level paradise. I think we can
Hmm.
achieve basic level paradise here. I think it's totally doable here. All of us singing Kumbaya together, flying across the sky because we all have suddenly grown wings. That's not gonna happen. It ain't what it
Right.
is. But we can achieve a basic level of paradise here, and it's within our power to do so right now. And the thing about it is, if there was just an organization like a country that exemplified or was the example to the rest of the world, hey, this is what we've been able to do for our own people, for ourselves, so that they all have what they need. They don't have to suffer. And from this, we've also been able to produce opportunities for other countries, for trade, for other things. Would you like to be a part of this with us? Yes, we will. Because more people want to not suffer than people who want to suffer. And I think
I
that
hope
once we
so.
figure that basic math out, I think we can do a lot of good things. But we have to hold people accountable. Forgiving people and letting them get off the hook because they didn't do what they were supposed to do or because they got away with what they did is a non-negotiable, unacceptable thing for a reasonable, responsible human being in this reality at this time.
You know what, Fernie? I struggle to understand how, and again, y'all forgive the wine. I struggle to understand how so many people forget that the creator of all of this was the type of individual at some point that will wipe your ass out for not doing the right thing. Like, let's remember that as we are here. They need to be held accountable. If it's our duty as people, humans who are here to do light work, that also means standing in the gap and saying,
Mm-hmm.
this is wrong and you're harming these other folks. You need to atone for this.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have to do that. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know what that means,
It's setting
but
boundaries.
if
It's
we have,
setting. We
yeah,
have to set a collective boundary as human beings on this planet, and the precedence has been the amount of violence and hatred and bigotry and suffering that we've created for ourselves in the past. Our history shows us over and over again that we are capable of atrocities, and in my past lives, I've been a part of several of them, which is why I'm such an avid pusher for peace and for love for each other. But we have to be accountable on a human collective level. And until we set those boundaries with each other, nothing changes.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Set your own boundaries first and then wreck shop on those outside of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Amen. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. We love y'all. We are done. And yeah, we'll see y'all. I don't know. We're gonna see them next Saturday. This might be 2 episodes, but we love y'all
Yeah.
all.
Yes, I enjoyed it. We were just chatting and having a good time, and I drank my little black box of wine. You all know I don't really drink,
I don't have to.
so
Yeah, I
like,
didn't have to drink anything today. I was fine. I was in my right mind today. So I was like, okay, I'm good. I was good. But all right, everybody, we love y'all, and we will see y'all next time.